The cold, snowy evening of December 6, 2009 was like any other in West Valley City, Utah. But for Susan Powell, a devoted mother of two and a beloved community member, it was the night she vanished without a trace. Known for her radiant smile and unyielding kindness, Susan was a beacon of warmth in her neighborhood. However, as her friends and family would soon discover, the shadows lurking in her seemingly idyllic life would lead to one of the most confounding disappearances in modern history. When Susan failed to show up for work the next day, alarm bells rang. Her co-workers' calls went unanswered, and there was no sign of her at home. Concern turned to dread when her husband, Josh Powell, returned home with their young sons, Charlie and Braden, but without Susan. He claimed they had gone on an impromptu camping trip in the freezing desert night, a story that raised more questions than it answered. The search for Susan began in earnest, with every passing hour amplifying the fear that something terrible had happened. Josh Powell's behavior quickly drew suspicion. His account of the night Susan disappeared was riddled with inconsistencies. Why would a father take his young children camping in sub-zero temperatures? Why did he fail to inform anyone of their departure? Police investigation revealed more troubling details: a life insurance policy on Susan, her growing concerns about her safety, and a volatile marriage marked by control and manipulation. As investigators delved deeper, the image of Josh as a loving husband began to crumble. The Powell home, once a place of laughter and family gatherings, became a crime scene. Forensic teams scoured every inch, uncovering a series of chilling clues. A wet spot on the living room carpet, Josh's frantic attempts to clean the house upon returning, and the ominous presence of Susan's purse and phone suggested foul play. The more investigators unearthed, clearer it became that the answers lay buried within the secrets of the Powell household. As days turned into weeks, the search for Susan grew increasingly desperate. Volunteers combed the rugged Utah landscape, and the media frenzy surrounding the case reached a fever pitch. Public sympathy for Susan's plight was palpable. So was the growing anger towards Josh. His lack of cooperation with the police and refusal to take a polygraph test only fueled the suspicion. The mystery of Susan Powell's disappearance had gripped the nation, but the truth remained agonizingly out of reach. The investigation took a darker turn with the involvement of Josh's father, Steve Powell. Steve's obsession with Susan, revealed through his diaries and videos, painted a disturbing picture. His infatuation was both creepy and incriminating, suggesting that the Powell family harbored deeper, more sinister secrets. When police raided Steve's home in Puyallup, Washington, they found a trove of voyeuristic photographs and journals, adding another layer of depravity to the already tangled web, the Powell family's dysfunction. Among the items seized from Steve Powell's home were eerie journal entries and explicit materials that documented his disturbing obsession with Susan. The evidence pointed to a deeply troubled man whose actions may have played a role in Susan's fate. The focus of the investigation expanded to include not just Josh but also his father, raising the stakes and broadening the scope of the case. The walls of deceit and depravity were closing in. Still, the mystery persisted. Amidst the ongoing investigation, a bitter custody battle erupted between Josh Powell and Susan's parents, Chuck and Judy Cox. Cox family, convinced of Josh's guilt, fought tirelessly to protect their grandsons from his influence. The legal skirmishes were fraught with tension and drama as the courts weighed the safety of Charlie and Braden against the evidence at hand. The custody battle became a high-stakes game, with the lives of two innocent children hanging in the balance. On February 5, 2012, the case took a devastating turn. During a supervised visit, Josh Powell locked the social worker out of his house and set it ablaze, killing himself and his two sons. The explosion rocked the community, leaving a trail of grief and unanswered questions. Josh's final horrific act seemed to confirm his guilt in Susan's disappearance, but it also left a void that could never be filled. The loss of Charlie and Braden was a blow from which Susan's family would never fully recover. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the search for Susan continued, driven by the hope of bringing her home and finding closure. Despite extensive efforts, her body was never found. The case remained open, with investigators sifting through leads and re-examining evidence. The mystery of Susan Powell's fate lingered like a dark cloud, casting a long shadow over all who were touched by the case. Theories about what happened to Susan Powell abound. Some believe that Josh killed her in a fit of rage and disposed of her body in a remote location. Others speculate that Steve Powell may have been involved, given his disturbing obsession. There are even whispers of more elaborate conspiracies, involving hidden accomplices and cover-ups. Each theory adds a layer of intrigue, but none can provide the definitive answers that Susan's family and the public so desperately seek. The case of Susan Powell captivated the public's imagination, spawning books, documentaries, and endless online discussions. Amateur sleuths pored over the details, dissecting every piece of evidence and every statement made by those involved. The combination of a missing person, a suspicious husband, and a tragic ending created a narrative that was both compelling and heartbreaking. Public's obsession with the case reflected a broader fascination with the darker aspects of human nature and the quest for justice. The Susan Powell case had a profound impact on law enforcement practices. The investigation highlighted the challenges of dealing with domestic violence and missing persons cases, leading to changes in how such cases are handled. Police departments across the country reviewed their protocols, and the need for better coordination between agencies became evident. The lessons learned from Susan's disappearance and the subsequent tragedies shaped the future of investigative procedure. Chuck and Judy Cox, despite their immense grief, dedicated themselves to seeking justice for Susan and their grandsons. They established the Susan Cox Powell Foundation to support victims of domestic violence and advocate for changes in the legal system. Their tireless efforts kept Susan's memory alive and provided a beacon of hope for other families facing similar struggles. The Cox family's fight for justice became a testament to their love and resilience. Years have passed since Susan Powell's disappearance, yet the case remains unsolved. Her story continues to haunt those who knew her and those who followed the investigation. The unanswered questions, the lives lost, and the enduring pain make it a mystery that refuses to fade. The search for truth and closure persists, driven by the hope that someday a full story will be revealed, and Susan Powell will finally be at peace.